In this video, I'm going to be showing off my previous to All the Mods 9 worlds and explaining sort of my building style and how I stay motivated to build and progress in these mod packs and how I'm able to build decent bases. Like, I'm not claiming to be an expert. This is just my personal way of doing things, and I thought I'd share it with you, and also it gives me an excuse to show off my worlds. So this is before. For my first world, this was the seed. I spawned literally like right here. So this is before. This is after about, how long even? Let's see. Time with world open, 19.71 days. So that's what? 19.71 times 24. That's about 473 hours. 473 hours I've spent in this world. This was my first playthrough of all the mods 9. I'm gonna get all this shit out of my inventory because I was working on something else. So this is my first playthrough that I did. And I'm using this as a demonstration of sort of how I go about building things. I'm not claiming to be a master of building. As you can see, it's not amazing looking, but there are a few things I'm proud of. This was from a tutorial, so we're not counting this. However, that is a valid option. But there's a lot of stuff, everything else here I built just out of my own brain power. So I'm using this as a sort of way to explain sort of modding in general and how you can really get into modding. And the two aspects I'm going to explain are the learning process and the building process, because those are the two things that really, I feel like, get a lot of people when it comes to modding. I see so many posts being like, oh, how do I make these awesome bases? How do I make all this stuff? And how do I get into modding when it's such a complex learning curve? So let's start from the start. So initially, my base was round about here-ish. Sort of this area, I think. Maybe over there. Actually, maybe even closer to over here. It was a tiny little shack that I had built. I believed I used Mine Colony as one of the presets. And then I decided to build a sky base. And as you can see, it's no longer a sky base, but it used to be. This used to be several, like probably 10 or 20 blocks in the air. So this was the initial platform that I first built and then expanded off of. But as you can see, it's no longer like that anymore because I built this wall around the outside. Now, let's start with, you've downloaded a new mod pack. So the first thing I did, when I first downloaded this, I basically was like, I'll give it a shot. One of the blokes at work said it was really good. And I gave it a shot and I couldn't figure out what to do. I downloaded it, opened it, played for 20 minutes, and I'm like, the fuck am I supposed to do? And I closed it. Ended up going to my missus' house for the night, and then I was watching a video. And it's like, oh, here's a beginner's guide. I think it was from Alfred GG on Beginner's Guide to All the Mods 9. And I was like, all right, I'll give this another shot. And it's a funny story, actually. So I hopped on around 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and I get a message from my partner at around, like, what felt like maybe 4 or 5 hours later, being like, hey, are you okay? Like, I haven't heard from you. What's going on? I'm like, it's only been, what, 3 or 4 hours since I left. And she's like, look at the time. I'm like, oh my God, it's 11, and it was like nearly 1 a.m. in the morning. So I've been playing for about 11 hours straight at that point without even realizing it. So the first thing I always recommend when you're getting into a new mod pack is watch a video that explains like the early game, any early game tips that sort of minimize the frustration that comes with the early game of these mod packs, because the early game is where I find the most, even myself, I find myself getting filtered a lot, where I'm like, I really don't feel like spending this time going through and doing the basic get iron, get gold, get diamonds, all that jazz. And I find that having a guide, or like a sort of beginner's guide, where it's like, here are the tips and tricks you can follow. So I'm like, okay, I have short-term goals. The next thing I did is, once my quest thing opens, if it opens, is mystical agriculture. So that was really the first thing I got into when I first started playing. It was over here, I believe. This used to be different. It used to be, instead of grass, it used to be like, it used to be sort of a big square in the sky, maybe about the size of, like, from here up to there, all the way over to about like here-ish, and then all the way through to like my wheat area. So that was about it. So I had some hopper botany pots that I through watching that tutorial, I made some hopper botany pots and I started them going. And then I was like, all right, what now? So I had a look and I'm like, what seems interesting? I clicked on mechanism and I'm like, okay, this seems pretty achievable. I've already got some osmium. Let's craft this. And it sort of spiraled from there where it's like, okay, so I now have two main goals, which is progress in this tree and also progress in this tree. So working my way up here and then working my way up through here. And that's sort of like the approach I usually take to these mod packs is I like to follow the quest personally. I personally find it a lot better. Some people are different. If you're like more intrinsically motivated, then you don't have to do this. It's more about taking a look at the mod, like going through this page and being like, what looks interesting? Let's find a good example. It's like, what looks interesting? And then scrolling through, maybe find like a weapon or something. I say that, but I cannot find anything that's jumping out to me as particularly like, I want to get that sort of thing. Let's have a look-see. And this is here's something cool. What's this? How do I get it? I need this. How do I find that? Go there. And if it's like a sword, for example, it's like, maybe it's an upgrade. Maybe it's like all the modium alloy sword. You're like, this looks really cool. I want to get this. I need all these things. How do I get this? I need this. How do I get this? I need to get unobtainium ore. What's the best way to do that? There used to be... Is the laser drill no longer? Is the laser drill no longer valid? If so, that's very frustrating. Wait. Or laser base. They've changed this pack a lot since I played on this world. Oh no, you can still get... Yeah. But you get where I'm coming from, where it's like, I want this thing, what are the steps to get it? That's one way of doing it. But it's mostly just like doing the basics of like, if you want to follow a guide. If you don't, then the quest books are usually really good. This one, for example, you have all of this to work through. It's like, okay, here's the basic progression, silent gear. There's tool customization. There's a whole page for tool customization. I'm going to work my way through this. Go back to the beginning. There's upgraded furnaces. How can I automate these upgraded furnaces? And so it starts with that. And so basically, yeah, my base started off with this, and then I eventually expanded into this room. This ceiling took me about 3 hours. That's exaggeration. Maybe an hour and a half to build. Because it's so, like, there's so many layers to it. I personally think it looks pretty good. Like, I'm very happy with how it turned out. I like the aesthetic of it. And then I'm like, all right, this is going to be my like main, I planned out, this is going to be my main central area. This is where I'm just going to like, this is where everything's going to spiral out from. This is my cuck shed. I have one in every world. I call them the cuck sheds. This is where I AFK. I had the charger here for charging my wireless terminal and my configurator and whatnot. Before, I didn't even realize up until like recently that you can just slap it in an induction matrix and it charges fairly quickly. Speaking of, where is my terminal? Is it in the charger? I actually don't know where it is. That isn't... I can't even remember. It's been months since I played this world. Maybe it's over here. Let's have a look-see in here. It might be in here. But yeah, while I find this, like talk about more. So it's like, first off, it's obviously figuring out what you want to do. I don't know where the fucking... Have I lost my terminal at some point? Maybe it got like... Maybe it got some bug between updates, deleted or something. I'm not sure. But anyway, I don't really need it right now. That's not important. I've got enough resources. So it's like, all right, how do I make this easier in the future? So for my example, right, these hopper botany pots were a big thing for me. So I'm like, all right, I want to automate more resources. How can I do that? And I'm like, hopper botany pots seem like the way to go, because I didn't know of any other methods at the time. Some quest books will tell you, some will not, of like other methods of ways to make things faster. This is also, I played this before they added thermal series, so there was no phytogenic insulators. So I was like, all right, what can I do? So I'll go, for example, iron essence. And I'm like, all right, how do I, it's this or this to make, what is that? Crimsite, I've never heard of that. It's like, you have to do it like this to make 6 iron ingots. How do I do that? Like, how do I automate that crafting? And then that's where research comes in. I did unfathomable amounts of Googling when it came to this world. I've probably spent at least 20 to 30 hours of my playtime, I'm not even exaggerating, just Googling, doing research, trying to figure out, can you go away? Googling, doing research, trying to figure out what it is that, like, how things work. So for example, I'm like, what's the best form of early game auto crafting in all the mods 9? And someone mentions the tier 3 crafters, and I go, so I've got these logistical cables from Mechanism, and I've got this configurator. How can I make these work together? And that's where this started. This is my ME system. We're going to get to this later. This is a very poorly set up ME system, so do not judge me. I know it's bad. I didn't know what I was doing. This is my first real foray into modded Minecraft in a long time. So if we go, I believe it's down here. So I had this set up. I don't even know my own base anymore. Here we go. So my idea that I had was, I'm going to have these 9x9s of seeds. Each of them will have its own seed. We funnel down into a set of tier 3 crafters. And I used a lot of these logistical sorters. In retrospect, logistical sorters probably weren't a good idea. And also, this setup is way too expensive and overkill, but I didn't know any other alternatives at the time. So I spent ages configuring each cable so that it didn't connect to each other, so that they all went through the designated holes that I wanted, and then having them go into the designated tier 3 crafters, and then configuring all those, and then having this like mess of logistical cables. And that's what I did for a lot of stuff. Is I basically just took the knowledge I already knew and I applied it to try and problem solve something that I needed. So it's like, I'm always running out of iron. How can I solve that problem? I've been using mystical agriculture. I can make these iron seeds, and I need to figure out how to automate it. And then this is the best solution, and that's fine. Like, that it's not about achieving peak efficiency. Like, I like efficiency. I prefer efficiency, but in a lot of cases, it's always, I prefer to be like, here is the, like, because this was the best, most efficient way I could make it with the tools that I had. So it's about using the tools you have and solving the problem that's being caused. And that problem was resource generation. So that's sort of like my main thing when it comes to sort of progressing through these mod packs. Is I'm not going to get too anal about everything has to be working at peak efficiency 100% of the time. It's how can I make things as efficient as possible using the knowledge that I have, which when I came into this world, I didn't have any knowledge. And then, so fast forward a little bit, I'm like, all right, what's the best way to keep my items stored and do auto crafting? And I had never, at any point in my life, touched applied energistics before starting this mod pack back in October of 2023, so last year. I had never touched it in my life. I knew of its existence because I used to binge watch the old Ethos Lab Project Ozone 2 Kappa Mode Let's Play, and he had applied energistics in that. But it was, the last time I had watched that series at the time was back in 2019. So about, 4 years prior, which is terrifying to think about. And I was like, I don't remember how any of it worked. I didn't even understand it while I was watching it. I just was like, ooh, cool technology, efficiency, this is cool. So basically I had to learn from scratch. And I started off with the quest page, which is always my go-to. If I don't understand a mod, it's always the quest page. So I just worked my way through and making every single thing that I could. And if I couldn't figure out how to make something, or if I didn't have resource for something, I'd figure out ways to get more of it. And if that required automation, epic, I'll do more automation. If I require, my brain is not braining today. Yeah, just automating the things that I need in bulk, sort of thing, where it's like, oh shit, I want to get this system up and running. From what this thing has told me, everything is stored in these drives. So I need drives or the ME item storage cells, and then we need to put them into the drives. How do I make a drive? I believe the drives should be somewhere. Yeah, here. All right, I need these items. My big bottleneck right now is Fluix. I think it was, at least. It was a long time ago, but that's the example I'm giving. My big bottleneck for this example would be Fluix. How do I get more Fluix? And I was like, I don't really like want to go through the effort of setting up the whole like annihilation plane, formation plane, like a complex setup of like dropping everything into the things. And I'm like I look at the Fluix and I'm like, all right, what ways do I have to get this? And I'm like, Fluix essence. What do I require for that? Oh, Fluix seeds. What do I require for that? Oh, 4 Fluix blocks and Imperium essence. By that point, I had automated a bunch of Inferium, and I think I had like probably 3 or 4 Insanium. Oh no, 3 or 4 Supremium at that point. So I'm like, oh, that's easy. So I made Fluix seeds, and those were my source of Fluix. And then fast forward way down the line, I'm like, all right, I've been running these dense smart cables all over my base, but I've got this setup over here where it's like I want to get more hostile neural networks going, but I don't want to go through all the effort of like running a cable all the way down here because they're so expensive, they take forever to craft. And my auto crafting setup for AE2 in this particular world is not very good. In my other world, it's really good, but not in this one. That's basically it. They're not even the extended version. Oh, are they? No, it's the extended charger, but I didn't know how to use the extended inscribers, so I just used the base inscribers. They do have acceleration cards now, but... So I was like, all right, I don't want to make so many dense smart cables. So I taught myself P2P tunnels, and I spent quite a while doing research, getting lost, making mistakes, figuring things out, and then eventually it clicks. And that's part of what tech mod packs specifically do for me, is you need to find out, if you want to play modded Minecraft, you need to figure out, is problem solving, is spending like ages solving an issue something that I particularly want to do? Like, do I want to spend 30, 40 minutes trying to figure out the solution to a really difficult problem, and does it give me that satisfaction? That's like, I play like a lot of Souls shit. That's part of the reason that I really enjoy it, is because there's that satisfaction of just playing and playing and playing and getting stuck on something and just being like, how the fuck am I supposed to solve this issue? Also, my game's frozen, but we'll keep talking. How the fuck am I supposed to solve this issue? Like, I don't understand, I don't get it. What am I supposed to do? And then it finally clicks, or it's like, in Dark Souls, for example, after death after death after death, I've learned how it works, and then I can beat them fairly easily on my final attempt. And it's like, it just clicks for me, where it's like, I spent ages trying to figure out what the issue was and how to solve it. I also think my game is going to crash, so I'm going to pause the recording, and I'll come back once I've got it fixed up again. Alright, yeah, that's another thing with these worlds, is that, like, you sort of, as you go, want to try and find lag-efficient ways of doing things. This base is so not lag-efficient. Like, look how many smart cables I have running everywhere, look how many entities I have updating, look how many machines I have running so close to each other. This is not an efficient setup in the slightest. But basically, yeah, so as I was saying, a lot of it is problem solving, because it's working your way through an issue and trying to, like, solve it. And for people like me, this pack is really good, because it has a good entry level. Like, there's not a lot of, like, mod integration for the most part. It's a lot of, every mod is, for the most part, pretty separate, but there are integrations in some places. So you can learn the mods through the fairly helpful quest pages. But for people like me, the best thing about this pack is I have a goal, and that's the All the Mods star. How do I make this? And I need all of these items. And most of my time, after the first probably 30, 40 hours, was spent towards working towards each of these things. The first thing I got was the Creative Essence. That was actually fairly easy for me, because I had already spent so long automating Insanium and whatnot, and making that was a fairly easy thing for me. So it's like, what's the next thing? Well, I want to focus more on tech than magic. So if we have a look here, I don't really feel like doing the Dragon Soul, because this is all like stuff that I don't really enjoy. I don't enjoy magic. And you'll notice as well as we go through. So this was my personal, private, for fun world. I when it got towards the final like time of me playing, I was getting pretty exhausted with the magic. Like I don't enjoy magic in most packs I play. Obviously for the let's play that I'm currently doing, or for the like guide let's play sort of thing that I'm currently doing, I'm gonna do everything legitimately. But for example, blood magic in this, I built like, I went halfway through the blood magic tiers and I'm like, this is so unbelievably frustrating and boring. And I just stopped and I just grabbed the item that I needed out of creative and I used it. Because I just didn't have like, because it's not for anyone else, it's for me. And I've already put in all this work into everything else. I don't have to put in that effort for this thing because it's for me. And that's something you're allowed to do on your personal playthroughs. And don't let other people tell you that you can't, because it's not about, unless you're like making a big deal of like, oh, I have done this legitimately. If you want to be like, no, I haven't done this legitimately. Or if you're like, for example, if you're doing this like a YouTube series where you're making a big deal of doing everything and actually doing everything and beating the game legitimately, then you don't want to like sort of psych out the people that are watching towards the end of the series and be like, nah, can't be bothered, I'm just going to cheat it in. But if you're playing by yourself and you're like, this one mod just doesn't gel with me, I don't enjoy it, I don't find it fun, I can't enjoy it, then you can feel free to like, just cheat it in. And people will always be like, no, you can't do that, that's like you're undermining the experience. And it's like, if the developers didn't want me to have that option, then they wouldn't have like added the cheats option to the game. If you go in with cheats off and then you're like, oh, I want to change the LAN and go through all these steps to like turn cheats on just to go, it's like, even then that's perfectly fine if you're doing it just for you. It's just for you, it's just for fun. I don't think that's a problem, but that's my thing. I also don't have anything Botania related, just because Botania wasn't added until like the day after I stopped, like I finished the pack. Like the update that added Botania came out the day after I like got all the mod stuff for the first time, which is over here on my trophy wall, which I still quite like. What's in here? Oh, this is where I was keeping the stuff for the star. So yeah, well, where was I before? Oh yeah, so Applied Logistics. So this was something that, as you can see, I didn't understand what I was doing very well. This is just a cage with hundreds of smart cables encasing a whole bunch of pattern providers and molecular assemblers, because I didn't know what I was doing. This one, I sort of had this was my first one, but I still had these like walls on the back, because I didn't realize like you only had to have one cable and everything would automatically connect. So I had like the controller used to be back here, and then I moved it up, and then I had to like figure out like wrangle the dense cable all the way down, and then I eventually decided just to run it over the top and just have these walls of full of smart cables going to the back. I didn't know cable anchors were a thing, so I didn't have them, and my drive's already getting full. Jesus Christ! How did I get this? Was this a quest reward? I don't remember how I got that, but that's pretty cool that I have that. And as you can see, a lot of them are full. I also didn't know how to move items from one slot to another. So as you can see, I just left them and then I just made more to make up for it. This right here is only like this just because I actually ended up moving my auto crafting setup up into here. So I'll show you where it is. And this also took me so long to build, but we'll get to this in a second. We'll talk about building. Right now we're just going to talk about like progression and automation, but yeah, here's my auto crafting setup. So yeah, that's sort of the thing where I go for me personally, where it's like, I like having a big goal, and you can set your own goals where it's like, if you're playing, from what I've heard, if you're playing like Greg Tech New Horizons, for example, if you go in being like, oh, my goal is to make the Stargate, then you're not gonna do it. In most cases, you're not gonna have the motivation to sit down for 4,000 hours to beat the pack. But what a lot of people say is just make your goal something achievable in the short term. So like, oh, after 400 hours, you have achieved the tier 1 rocket. That is your goal that you're working towards, and fuck the other goal for right now. If you want to keep going after that, then you can keep going, but that's your goal that you want to achieve. And that's sort of how I got through this, because I'm like, I can't wrap my head around something this large of a process. And so I'm just like, all right, what do I need first? And I go, pulsating black hole. This was before Mjolnir was part of the recipe. Also, this wasn't part of the recipe either. This wasn't, I don't think. This was. It was the old recipe. But my point still stands. So I'm like, all right, so pneumaticraft, and then a little bit of pneumaticraft before. So I set up an area for it. It used to be over here. It used to be like right here-ish, but then I moved it because it was too far away. And I placed it in here. If we have a look in here, this I'm very proud of. We'll get to this in a second. But I basically have all my pneumaticraft stuff in here. And I'm like, wait a minute, how do I make the issue of autocrafting this thing more easy? And then I realized, pattern provider, and I just chuck that directly onto a chest. This is back before I knew you could put pattern providers directly onto the thing. I thought you had to have at the time I thought you had to have an export bus, which is missing a channel for some reason. I don't even know where this goes. Yeah, this base is very thrown together. But as you can see, it's like a lot of stuff where I'm just learning. I'm having to figure out how to make, I think this was the etching acid. Yeah, the etching acid. I'm trying to figure out how to make etching acid and all that stuff. And then like over here, trying to figure out how to make my brine production faster. If we look under here, it's absolute chaos underneath. This isn't going to work. I don't have an axe on me, do I? I also don't have my fucking terminal. But if you look at down here, it's chaos underneath. I don't know why I do not have an axe on me. Like I said, it's been a while. And then it's like, well, this is sort of a bit later in the playthrough. I'm like, how do I do need torches. Otherwise, you can barely see this. Hold up. Let me quickly go grab some, because I don't know where my wireless terminal is. I don't know where I've put it. Actually, wireless. Universal. Yeah, we'll use this one. Chuck all that shit away. And then we'll... Oh, how do I do it? Wait. Device not linked. We need to go back here. Bam. Then we go down here. Into our induction matrix. There we go. How much do I have in here? I do not have a lot. Oh, it's outputting as fast as it's inputting. Okay, that's probably not good. But okay, so torch. Yeah, I got 61. Okay, perfect. We'll go back over here. This was like my pride and joy. This is what I was the most proud of after it was done, because what makes this special to me is I came up with all this by myself. I didn't come up, obviously I followed the quest book, like what order I have to build things, but the layout and the design is all me. And my goal was to create a fully tileable, meaning it can stack, and as compact as possible processing chain for auto duplication. I barely used it because it's super inefficient. It also gets backed up a lot because like tiny little bits of residue of like the slurry will get left behind and it's a pain in the ass. So I barely use it anymore. I mostly, I used to use it just for all the modding and stuff like that, but I think that's just being automatically smelted in the netherite things now, because I've got so much unobtained. Yeah, I've got 14,000 unobtainium. It's not a problem. But yeah, I like have this just absolute spaghetti of cables underneath. Some of them connecting to multiple machines, yada yada yada. I made sure like each side could have like one input, and I like laid things underneath so that like it could be stacked on top of each other, so nothing was going in the tops. That's what I did here, because I'm like, I need more dissolution chambers, I need more washers, I need more chemical crystallizers, so I just stacked them. And this can all be like one block. But yeah, I was super proud of, because I can, if I wanted to, like mainly focus on this for ore processing, I could just add 2 or 3 layers on top of it and it would still work perfectly fine. The only issues that it has is sometimes when reloading, these pipes connect to each other and then it fucks up the system, but that's just an issue with mechanism, not an issue with the design per se. I mean, by that logic, it is an issue with the design, but you get where I'm coming from. Where it's like, I felt super accomplished by this. Like, this was a big milestone for me, not because it's even part of the quest book, but it's because it's something I wanted to do, and I figured out a way to do it. So let's have a look more at my base. I'm just going to do a little bit more showing than telling as we go on. So we've got our mechanism set up here. This could have been done a bit better, but should be right. As I said before, AU2. This is my automatic smelting setup, so everything that I get from my ore miners just going straight into here, and then wait, why are they going into? Not even going into the furnaces. The fuck is the point? Is it just going directly into my system? Fuck, I couldn't tell you, to be honest. But yeah, I had all these three running, and I have this mega pattern provider here, or extend pattern provider, and I've got like a second set of terminals over here. And we look in here. This was fun to set up. We've got all the stuff for integrated dynamics. I didn't use integrated dynamics. I just did this to get the stuff needed for the star. Good. There we go. And we close that, and then this is where I spent a little while making Silent Gear stuff. So I actually got really frustrated because Silent Gear, I feel like should be more like better for the amount of effort I put in, because I spent so much time making this sword. I'll see if I can find it. Silent. Oh, what was it? It was a sword, I think. It wasn't that one. Sword. Plea. Ray. No, what was... I don't even remember what it was. I don't even know if I still have it, to be honest. Was it this one? No, this was my original one. This one I made ages ago. Yeah, I don't even think I have it anymore. But I spent so long trying to make this sword. I actually am fucking confused because I want to know where it is. Because I spent so long on it. I don't know what any of this means. This is a hole? Yes, it is. Okay, I don't know what the sword is, but I spent like ages making a sword, only for it to be less damage than my Awakened Supremium sword. And I also got all the ingredients for it up to max, which is the tier above Triple S. That took me quite a while to do. I haven't even... Oh, I don't even have any left. Yeah, I'm not sure. But that was frustrating. I don't remember what this was for. I also had... Where was... Oh, I moved it, didn't I? I moved power. Let's have a look down here. So this was just more... This was... I built it because I wanted to check out what it was like. The Undergarden. Didn't really care. Don't really find dimensional exploration particularly enjoyable. I did not enjoy the Twilight Forest personally. Same with this one. This I built because I was in a call with my partner when she was in another city for like a wedding or something. And she's like, oh, you should just build a giant snail. I'm like, oh, hell yeah. And then like shits you out back here, which I thought was pretty fun. And then this was going to be a dock, but I never ended up finishing it. This used to be where a lot of my... This was where my reactor and turbine used to be, and I got rid of it. And if we look over here, we have our turbines down there, our medium-sized reactor here, which I feel like I should fix by slapping a Eternal Water Block on it, but I'm not making enough fissile fuel for it to count. A second turbine here, but this one's full. Our SPS, our fusion reactor, which I cannot seem to get to stay on for some reason. I think it's because I'm not getting enough tritium. This is probably not an efficient setup either, but it should be right. But I built this in here, and I thought it was pretty cool. But basically, okay. So we've talked about, we've talked about technology and progression and motivation. Now it's coming down to building. And how do I build things? Well, the first things first is you start with an initial idea where it's like, do I want this to be like your initial base design? It's like, what do I want my base to look like? And if you don't know what you want your base to look like, then you can find a lot of help by just going to like the All the Mods 9 like subreddit, or the All the Mods subreddit, or whatever pack subreddit, or whatever subreddit, and just looking at other people's base designs. And it's like, and then you can be like, okay, and you don't have to build it exactly like they did. You can be like, I don't have the skill to build something like that, but you can build something that's a little bit simpler and easier for you to understand. Or you can just do something where it's like, oh, I feel like this would be a cool idea, where like when the inspiration just strikes, because sometimes it does. That's what this place was. This whole area used to be flat. Like I said, this used to be floating. And I was like, I kind of want to make this just a giant mountain. So I spent probably the better part of 4 hours building up all this mountain around it. So all this mountain is actually completely man-made. I think it looks pretty good, all things considered. Like, of course I'm biased, but I think it looks pretty good. And then it's like, oh, I need a big area for X mod. So there's always the option of tutorials. Like if you're like, I really don't feel like I know how to build something really good. This was from a tutorial. This was going to be my magic area. It's not big enough, so I barely used it. I used to have blood magic down here. As you can see, there's an old export bus full of blood here. Oh, it's Evilcraft, not blood magic. And then the start of like occultism. Oh, there's also blood magic. Some stuff for what mod even is this? Forbidden Arcanus? I think so. No, Apotheosis. This was for occultism, and then all this up here was for Awakened Supremium stuff, and a few other little bits and bobs as I needed them. This is pretty helpful. And so it's like, alright, so I want a magic-themed area. What's a good place for magic? Oh, a wizard tower. This is one I built myself. Now, the top I'm pretty happy with. The base probably could have used a bit more work, but I had my infusion set up down here, and then I had this. And this is why it's important to plan out, sort of, if you want to make a big base, plan it out knowing where you're going to be running things, sort of, or where you want things. Because I had to make this like little nook on the side. I had to build it out and run the cable in, and then have those two running, and then have all this set up here. This is a bit more efficient, but even still, it's like, it was incredibly inefficient. I have this big ugly thing on the side of the tower. This is I just made because I was like, again, in a call the missus, and I wanted to make something like fun for her. This was just aesthetic, but you can also use like stuff like this to make it more aesthetic if that's what you want. So we head down here, and then, so yeah, basically the idea is I like to have a sort of idea themed around. So if you want to do one big base, have a central theme where it's like, oh, I want to have futuristic or fantasy or factory sort of look, and then either look through other people's bases, or in the case of this, it's not very good. Like this bit I don't really like, but I think this bit looks pretty good. It was literally just, I googled factory in Minecraft, and I copied it, but added my own twists as I saw fit, and did a lot of experimenting. And that's where the hard part comes in, it's the experimenting. I'll get back to that when I show up my second world. This area was like, oh, this is my sort of science area, so I wanted to sort of have like a futuristic facility kind of look, which I think came across pretty well. What is this? I think this is for charging those batteries for the star. And I thought it looked pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this. And there's some stuff that I don't happen to have a base built for it, or like an area built for it. I just have these sitting on the lawn. This bit, is it spaghetti? Like, it's a lot of spaghetti, and I could not tell you what most of it does, to be honest. A lot of it doesn't even have a use anymore. I had a setup here somewhere for lithium, and also another one for sodium, but I couldn't tell you where they are. Maybe it says. In fact, I still have. So this pressurized tube is connected to nothing, but it just sits here because I haven't been bothered to get rid of it. Here's my old induction matrix. I don't know why it's not outputting, but that would be very helpful if it was. Might even move the cells over. But yeah, I sort of had, when I built this, I sort of had this idea where I'm like, I want to sort of have it hanging off the edge of the cliff. So I built like this and on the side, and I was like, all right, I'm going to run it like, so it curves underneath and then connects in to the bottom, so it's clamped on. And then I was like, oh, I want this something cool on the roof. So I looked through some pictures and I saw this, and I'm like, this looks pretty cool, so I chucked it on top. And then this was supposed to be a space base, but I never really got around to finishing it because I don't particularly enjoy these space mods as much as I wish I could, because they were my favorite thing when I was a kid. This I also got from a random YouTube video, not a YouTube video, from a random fucking Google image search. And I was like, something futuristic Minecraft, and I saw something similar to this, and I built it in my own way, in a way that I thought looked okay. In retrospect, it probably could be improved upon, but should be right. And I used this for my SPS, and then, this is just bottlenecked by energy? I think so, yeah. And then I'm like, oh, what's something cool to put underneath? I put a little aquarium underneath, just because it was just random. I was like, how do I add a little bit of spice to this area? And it's sort of hard to describe, but I'll get a bit more into... Actually, no, I'll talk about it now. So, what's your step? That was basically like, sort of like the mental process behind it. But what's the logical process behind it? So the first things first, obviously, is to get your idea. You're like, I want X thing. So it's like, I want a futuristic base. And then you want to build a giant ass outline. And I'm going to do a thing showing this in a bit more detail after I do the segment on my second world, because that world's more interior design than exterior. But it's sort of building a big outline of where you want things to go, planning it out, making it out of like concrete, for example, or wool, and then iterating on that. It's like, you don't have to build these super like detailed, fancy like walls straight off the bat. You can just build these giant slabs of just stone, for example. And it's like, oh, maybe I could add some pillars. So you knock out some stone every like 3 blocks, and you bring out those 3 blocks with maybe some stairs, maybe some trapdoors, maybe some logs, that sort of thing. And then, maybe I want to bring those little dents in a little bit. So you build like a thing behind them and you put some walls in, for example. And it's the sort of thing where it's like, if you go in expecting it to look good from the start, if you're not experienced, then it's not going to work out. Like, I have a bit of experience building. I've been playing this game for 12 years now. From everything from my iPod 3, iPhone 3G back in fucking 2012. No, earlier than that. 2009. No, yeah, 2009. No, not even. That's not right. No, it was 2012. Sorry, back in 2012, and then over time, just building things on my iPhone, building things on my iPad that I had for school. When I got my first laptop, building things there. And it's just a lot of experience, which means I'm not an expert, but I can build okay stuff. Like, obviously I have bad stuff as well. This is hideous, and I do not like it in the slightest. But I like how this whole area looks, because I think it has a very, like, cozy feel to it. And it's like, this, for example, I'm like, what's a funny idea for what I could do for automating Patrick Star? Well, not automating, but like creating it. Maybe I can build a second one on top and just have a giant starfish holding it up. And I think it looks pretty good, to be honest. I'm very happy with it. I had a little bit of texture by having it pop out a little bit more. And it's a lot of just watching YouTube videos and getting inspiration and then trying just to build like a basic thing. And then you want to have like a sort of frame that you can decorate and add depth to. And there's a lot of people who will help you online doing that. You can post in a lot of Discord servers, a lot of subreddits, and people will give you pretty solid advice. And it's a lot of just like trying to think of like interesting, not even interesting, but like, what could I do here? Like this, for example, I'm like, I have this big tank of water in here. Maybe I could have this fluid pipe. There's nothing in it. This is completely for show only. But it's there because it's like, this is going into this area. And actually, no, this is functional. It's taking water into here. Oh, wait, what? Maybe? I actually am not sure, because that's I think it's sort of like the idea was, it's like, the water is quote-unquote being pulled in and being quote-unquote stored in this tower here, but it's actually just a bunch of sinks. This is before I knew about Eternal Water Blocks, by the way. So yeah, that's sort of like my thought process. It's sort of like, blood magic. I want a sort of evil-looking castle for this. Did look at some Google images. I'm like, all right, I'll put something similar to one of those. And I built out this outline with nether brick first. This is the first thing I did, is I built this outline, and then I was like, all right. And I built up the castle, the shape of the castle, and like just like an outline of it, and then expanded from there. And in some places it looks really good. Like, I really like this like sort of like textured, like sort of like ruined like look around the bases of the towers. But I'm not too hot on these, like these two right here. And I'm not too hot on how flat it is on top. But I do like the inside quite a bit. Like, I think it looks pretty okay. I think there's a way to go up, but I haven't done anything up here. Yeah, it's completely empty. Yeah, so basically that's this world. There's a lot to it. It's a very, like, very... one last thing is, I haven't actually done much with this, but my idea was, for the last few stages of progress, I was going to build like just a big area that I could just dump everything in. But I didn't end up needing any of it. So there used to be extreme reactors here, but I destroyed them after I got the plutonium because it was a pain in the ass. And so I went through all this effort. I taught myself quantum link bridges. I taught myself peer-to-peer tunnels. I got that set up over there. And I spent ages building this. And it wasn't Like, I didn't just straight start building it. I looked at a picture of a Star Destroyer online, and I just built the outline. I went all the way around, all the way... Sorry. I just built an outline of it. And I'm like, okay, and I filled in the bottom of the outline. I was like, I looked at a picture, I'm like, okay, so it has this sort of like tiered look to it. So I'm like, all right, so I'll start from the back here. Actually, the first thing I noticed was like this big like sticky outy bit on top with like the command center or whatever. So I built that, and then I made sure it was centered and aligned, and I sort of like built some like blocks out to make sure it's like sort of textured, I guess. And I built these like thrusters in the back because I'm like, I think it'd be pretty cool. And I'm like, okay, how does it look in the model or in the photo? So I have this sort of area built out, and it's this sort of staggered but also triangular look. So I like sort of built in like this, and then I went back, and then I built in like this, going down, but also going in, and then finishing off. But this took so long because this wasn't what it originally looked like. I fucked it up multiple times. I built things wrong. It didn't look how exactly I wanted it. And eventually it came up okay. It's simply okay. It doesn't have to look amazing. As long as you're happy with it, which I'm happy with it. It's not professional, but as long as you're happy with it and you're not comparing it to other people's stuff. Because if you compare it to other people's stuff, it's not going to be a fun time for you. Because there's always going to be someone better than you. Unless you're the best in the game. But I doubt you'd be watching this video if you're the best in the game. So yeah. I taught myself all of that. I had some cables running underneath. I made sure to leave just like have the bottom of the ship blank so I could run cables underneath. And I got started on doing LV stuff in GregTech, but I couldn't figure it out. And it wasn't coming together how I wanted it to. And I was like, I've sort of done everything I want to with this world, and it's so laggy. It's such a laggy world, especially after you log in. It lags like crazy because it's just so poorly optimized. But this isn't even what it used to look like. My GregTech setup used to be all along here. Then I sort of knocked it all out, tried to recreate it into this, but even this looks fucking horse shit. Because I didn't know what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, so that's this world. I don't think there's anything else I particularly want to show. I think we've sort of covered everything. I would not recommend building everything this close to each other. I say that, but the next world's even more compact. We'll get to that one now. So I'll hop over to that world and I'll show you that one. Alright, so this is my second world that I made. This one I haven't completed the star on. I sort of got like pretty burnt out after a while on this world. And I only really came back to playing this mod pack when I made that Applied Energistics 2 video. That's when I sort of got back into playing this mod pack, and I didn't really know where to go with this world. But I'll show you, regardless, the progress that I made on it. If I can figure out how to get inside, because it's been probably 3 months since I last played this world. But the big focus on this one is, one, my sort of growth when it comes to efficiency, and then two, my sort of interior design. It's a bit laggy right now. I'm just waiting for the game to sort of like get ahead of itself, or get a hang of itself. Let's start with underneath. Oh crap. Wait, down. All right. So this is where this is my pride. This is my ME system setup, and I am so happy with how it fucking looks. It looks fucking gorgeous. I made a big deal about making sure things didn't connect. Everything was done with a peak efficiency. Everything was done perfectly. I do love how this bit is a little bit more spaghetti, but that's my mechanism setup, so that's kind of to be expected. Same with over here. This is a lot of mechanism stuff. This is for pneumatic raft, and basically I've got, here is my central, here's my central point where I have all the cables coming down from up there, and I have them all in different colors so that they don't interact with each other. I think it looks pretty damn lovely, to be honest. In retrospect, I should have switched them out for covered cables, but I didn't know that smart cables cause lag at the time. In here's my cuck shed that I have in every world. I have one in my current playthrough as well. Okay, so let's start with what the original design was. So if we go outside, it was originally it was supposed to be a lawn base, with just white and black, and that was supposed to be it. Like, I wasn't going to do any design, I was just going to build machines. And then I sort of changed my mind. I'm like, you know what, as I started building, I'm like, you know what, I'm actually going to start working on a little bit more sort of like visual style things that I didn't really have an idea yet. But let's start off with, before we get into visuals, start off with how I made things more efficient. So this design was in my other playthrough, however, I didn't use it as much until the very end of the playthrough. This is the lily pad fertility setup. I didn't know this until recently, but it's also very helpful to use lily pad fertility around the outside as well. Also, I didn't know when I made this how good XNet was. I haven't used XNet for either of the previous two worlds, but basically this is significantly more efficient, much less spaghetti, a lot more lag friendly. We'll see what's in here once it opens. Like I said, this mod pack causes me insane amounts of lag. But yeah, so that's sort of like, I went for a more efficient style with this. Same within here. I used a lot of, and I should be using these more on my main world currently, but I used modular routers for this setup. It's still got room to improve. I would need to set up something to automatically input glass bottles, but I didn't know about the ME requester at the time. So this was the setup I sort of had to pull things out and send them over here into a centrifuge. Oh, there's an export bus. I'm like, how is the things getting there? That makes sense. So yeah, export bus into there, logistical cable into there. So that was a bit more efficient. I didn't show the bee setup that I had in the, there's some hopper botany pots, as you can see, but that's just for small things. There was a little bit of bees in my other world, but I barely used it, so I don't really count it. I don't particularly like bees. I tried setting them up for my current playthrough, didn't work out. This room could have been used. You could have used a bit of expansion. I like how it looks visually though. I think it's significantly more efficient because I've got cable running underneath and out the back, and it's just connecting to one of each, I believe. Oh, actually, it might be 2 cables per each because there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's 10 per thing. So it'd be more than 8 for a smart cable. Here's my auto crafting setup. So these are where my, oh, that's glass. Here's my molecular assembler pattern provider setup. So if we look over here, you can see like all the wiring for it. I don't know why there's different kinds, but that's all there. And then if we go out back here, that's glitched out. What on earth? Very strange. And here is where we have the crafting computers, the CPUs and the crafting storage. Apparently, I'm not sure, but apparently crafting CPUs, having more of them, increases the amount of things you can have going simultaneously as well, and increases the speed, but I'm not... Oh, I think it's the amount of machines it can use at once, so the amount of simultaneous recipes. So it's like, I need 10 things being crafted at the same time, and you have 10 co-processing units, and it can craft one of each at a time. So that's pretty cool. Some crafting storages, not too much, but I do quite like the look, and I like these fences. They look good for like sort of, what's the word? Like those like industrial like things going across. And then here's my automated inscriber setup. So each of these is an extended inscriber. Each of them is set. Oh, this is just one for default things. Oh no, these are for the circuits. That is really annoying. Yeah, coming back to this world after a few updates is broken a little bit. I also my terminal's missing, so I think it's a bug caused by one of the updates. But here's where all of the silicon, all that jazz is being silicon, calculation, engineering, and logic. And each of these is set to auto export, stack to 1. It is extended inscribers, so I've made a whole fuckload of these presses. This is overkill. I did not need this much, but it is quick. It's not quick enough because I can't actually utilize all of the machines that I have built. But if, for example, we want to make a, once it loads, 250, no, 2, my game's frozen again. This mod pack is, it shouldn't be as laggy as it is, considering I have 16 gigs of RAM. I've got like a 5600 and a 3070. So I would hope it'd run better, but even with 12 gigs allocated, it still runs like complete dog ass. But it's still fairly, like, this setup is fairly quick. If we go over here, where has it been crafted? Yeah. As you can see, it's smashing through, like, pretty much everything. Like, it's all being made fairly quickly. Once we wait for the lag to dissipate. It's a problem. This is why I'm trying to find, like, a pack that's a bit more light on the system or on the computer, because it's this one. I don't know why it runs badly. Even with like custom arguments, it still runs fucking ass. I might have to do a restart, so I'll try and do that, and I'll get back to you guys. All right, here we go. It seems to be working, but look how fast this is crafting. So it's still a fairly fucking good setup. I'm very happy with it. This is using all 32, and you can tell. I might actually quickly turn my shaders off, because that's probably not helping with the performance issues. Disabled. Apply. And we wait patiently. There we go. Should run a little bit better now. Oh, much better. Still like low 50s for the minimums, but around 100 for the highs, so that's pretty good. Yeah, that was my Applied Logistics setup. Mechanism I had a lot more efficient. So this is the setup. Oh, everything's broken since whatever update caused this. How do I even get out there? Oh, through here. This is for... What is this for? Oh, this is for HDPE, I think, by the looks of things. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, I have no idea what this setup is for. Hydrogen. Rotary condensator. It's clearly broken with whatever update. Substrate. It must be to make like HDPE. I can't think of anything else it might be. So that's what that setup's for, I think. Here is where I'm making polonium and plutonium. This I could have done a lot better, but should be right. This is for... what is this for? This is for crushed fluorite? Not... Oh, this is to make the plutonium. Okay, gotcha. This is for plutonium, that's for polonium, that makes sense. Here's my induction matrix. I'm not outputting anything, which is concerning. To be honest, I'm not sure. When you come back after a few updates, these worlds tend to break. This is all for ore processing, I think. Yeah, ore duping. This is for integrated dynamics. This is my fissile fuel production. This I'm very happy with. I think this is pretty efficient. It's actually so efficient that the actual resource production can't keep up with it. That's a wall there. Here's my big ass turbine, my big ass reactor. So yeah, a lot more focus on efficiency and designing things to be a lot more compact and sort of streamlined to make it easier. I don't know what this is. Oh, this is for auto crafting machine frames. This one is also for crafting machine frames and an infinity nuke. I don't know if I ever made it, but what do I know? It's been too long since I played this world. This is becoming a problem. What the fuck? What the fuck? What in the goddamn... How the fuck was there 21 doors there? Somebody explain that to me. That's so fucking bizarre. I don't know what update broke these doors, but something sure as fucking hell did. Hold up. Alright, this is my power automation setup. I don't know where this would have gone, but it doesn't really matter. For making all the stuff with power, pretty efficient. I'm pretty happy with that. There's not really much to say. Power is pretty easy to automate. There's also over here, I think, my... Oh, fucking... What is this door? And why does it keep breaking? Why do I have 29 now? What is going on? This is my hostile neural network setup. It's a lot more efficient. This also could be improved by using XNet. A lot of this could be improved, especially on the lag front, by using XNet. If we go down this hallway here, was my immersive engineering setup. I didn't do... Oh, also pneumatic craft, but I didn't really get far with this because I kind of got bored. That's where everything was set up. I don't have much to say on that. I've got over here. Oh, let me fix that. I need to figure out how to get out. Over here we have our SPS and our wither. This is ether gas for farming ether gas, and then obviously the PRC. No, not PRC. Pressure chamber. Basically, how this works is it's just laser drills and whatnot. So basically, yeah, it was a lot more focused on like efficiency. There was something else I wanted to show as well. Where would it even be? Oh, I have some more hostile neural networks over here. I don't remember, I think I got this in a quest or from a structure or whatever. More hostile neural networks over here. Workbench plus, and my phytogenic insulator setup where I started using the item conduits from Ender.io. They seem pretty good. I haven't used them enough to be able to say though. And this is a crafter. So this is all meant to be processing uranium, but it's so slow that there's not even any point. What's this? This is induction. Oh, this was from making slag, I think. Slag. No, it wasn't slag. No, it must have been. Ah, a skeleton spawner. That makes sense. I was like, what the fuck is that noise? Slag. What is it used for? It was used for something that I'm making. I don't remember what it was. So yeah, I had that set up. Like I said, a lot of this I don't even remember. It had a reason, but what is this? This is osmium compressor. Gotcha. So yeah, here I use the Ender.io skeleton spawner or Ender.io spawner, and have it spawning skeletons to make bone meal. So that's going into here. Everything else is getting, or should be getting sorted through here. It's not. Fucking backpacks, whatever. I don't care. I don't play this world anymore. This was going to be where I was going to build the star. This was my create setup. This is where I was automating everything that I needed for create. So I had this right here automating, what are they called? Andesite casings. Here, automating stripped oak logs. This was not very efficient because it half the time spat out something that was not what I wanted, but should be right. This is for rose quartz. Yes. I feel like there should have been something on top of this, but I'm not sure. It's very quick, as you can see. I've got a couple of strong. Oh, I also had oh, where were they? There was the like energizing thing, like you could use to energize certain materials. What is this? Oh, I think this was for making the mechanical arm. Maybe. Yeah. No, overcharged iron. I don't even remember how to make overcharged iron. Is it on this side? No, I don't. Overcharged iron. Whatever. There was a way to make it, and I think I like the design of this area. It could use some improvement, but yeah, that was that was my setup. So as you can see, my big thing was compactness and also speed. So I wanted everything to be compact. I wanted everything to be fast. And that's why I did what I did with the cables. Is I used a lot of cable anchors so I could have a lot of cables next to each other without causing interference. So I'd have cable anchors separating them so I could have 4 export buses in a machine at a given time. In retrospect, a lot of this could be solved with a ME requester, but I'm still very proud of it. Now let's turn to design. So how did I make this? I'm very proud of this. I think it looks pretty good. So how did I start? So basically, I was just like scrolling through JEI. I'm like, oh, I was actually, because I was working from home that day, and at my old job, and they were doing some like training thing, and I couldn't be bothered paying attention. So I had like I had my work computer open, but I had my camera off, and I was just playing this world. I was just scrolling through it, and I found that the blocks, the concrete, oh, what mod is it? It's chipped, maybe? Concrete. Oh yeah, here we go. Like the different types of concrete for the more industrial look. So I made like sort of this floor first, like built my way out. Oh, lag spike. Give me a second while I wait for it to resolve itself. Has it fixed itself? All right, there we go. So I built out this. I'm like, I experimented with a sort of block palette where I'm like, I've got these blocks that I like. and I experimented different ways. So I originally had like sort of a circle of grey concrete panels. I'm like, that doesn't look good. So I made it into like these strips, and I added these like hazard lines, and I like sort of built it around where everything was. So it's segmented for each area. So for example, this segment's bigger because it's for my hostile neural network stuff. This segment's bigger because it's for my mechanism stuff, but this segment and this segment can be smaller, and this one can be smaller. This one can be smaller. This one is just so I can see in there. This is the dark clear glass, so I can see in, but no light comes through, so they can still spawn. These don't have a purpose yet. I think these were originally... Oh, they were originally nothing, apparently. I think it was just aesthetic. But it's mostly finding a block palette that I like and just trying out random stuff until it works. And you sort of want to follow like a real life sort of... I like to follow a real life sort of thing where it's like, I have the strips in a certain way, and I'm like, okay, so I've got the base, like the floor built out. The floor, but how do I make the floor work? Well, here's these hazard lines. So realistically, what do you think, like, most people do in like real life? It's like, oh, the hazard lines will probably lead up into something. It's sort of like when you're in school and you're learning about like media and shit, where it's like leading lines. So I'm like, okay, the line leads up into here, which will be the pillar. In this case, it isn't the pillar. That's a poor example. But the sort of thing is, it's like, have the sort of lines lead into the general direction of a pillar, I guess, is a better example than actually, because none of them actually lead into the pillar. But it's like, it draws your eye towards that thing and then up. So like when you look at it, it looks really good because if you like look, it's like, oh, my eye is going like this, but it's also following these like slants here. So it's following this slant up, following this up and around, slant here, and then into these set of machines. So it's sort of like figuring out what like your eyes like to see and catering to that, because it's made for you. It's not made for anyone else. This probably would make some builders' hearts like crack because they might think it looks fucking hideous. I think it looks fucking awesome. I love this whole like industrial, like futuristic look. I love this hallway. I love like the staggered lights in the ceiling. And the big thing is sometimes you're gonna make mistakes, and I like to work around the mistakes. So if we have a look back over here, this room was not built in a way, like I built this before I built everything around. I just built this setup before I built everything around it. And I'm like, I don't have enough room to space out all these 2x2. So I'm gonna make a 1x2 directly in the middle. So I'm sort of working around the fact that I don't have enough spaces to do what I initially wanted, and having this little spot in the middle so that it still looks symmetrical, sort of thing. And then same like here, 1 and then 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3. What are these clear black stained glass? Oh, okay, well, there you go. So that's the sort of like thing I'm going through, right? I have the block palette, and I try to stick to the block palette as much as I can for a given area. For this entire base, I wanted the same block palette. But as you can see, this area looks completely different to this area over here. It's a very cramped base. I probably should have... But yeah, that's a lot more wide, a lot more of a focus on these grey, these wide light grey concrete. Whereas if you look over here, this is more of a space station kind of look, where it's more focused on these grey concrete panels and these like concrete roofs. And I feel like there's a way that this could be improved. Also, this fucking door. What even is through here? I think it's just the other hallway. But as you can see, it's like this more... Yeah. What the fuck? I am firmly convinced some of this has been broken by the update. Whatever update caused it. And then having a little bit like depth into the wall is really helpful. So I like to have like a little bit knocked in, and then something interesting on inside, and then maybe add a little bit of texture to whatever's inside. So I have like this grey concrete roof here. So it's like these warning lines, and it's got this like sort of textured like indent right here. I think that looks pretty good. So that's the sort of thing I'm going for, where it's like, I have this block palette, and sometimes some parts of the base might look different, but use the same block palette. Like in here, for example, is a lot different to what I had over there. This is more of a focus on these like grill floors. So it's like a more of a like sort of... Ow. Wasn't expecting that. Alright. I did not realize that would kill me. Ow. Alright, wait for the lag to subside. I'll head back over. I'm gonna have to run back because I don't have my Supremium chestplate anymore, so I have no way of flying. Which is fucking annoying, but should be right. Back over here. Where the fuck even is my... Is it over there? Where the fuck's my grave at? Is it in here? It's fucking... I don't even have a way to get out there. There we go. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? I've never seen this before. Shader. Doesn't do anything. The fuck? Hold can be applied to hold shift. Wait. Balloon revolver. Oh, it's like it's skin for guns or whatever. Oh, there's my terminal. Okay, that was very strange. But yeah, you sort of get where I'm coming from, where it's like having that sort of like, you can have the like different looking rooms, but maintaining a similar block palette. You don't even have to, like, you don't even have to maintain a similar block palette. My other world, for example, I had very different block palettes, but I found ways to join them together by integrating them into a sort of flat environment. So it's multiple different kinds of building with different block palettes on a similar environment. So for example, like, oh, you want a more like 3 different kinds of factories. You want like a sort of industrial factory, like a fucking 1800 sort of one, and like a more modern one and a futuristic one, like all 3 next to each other. Having like all that built into like a giant grey mountain is going to look really cool because it's 3 different kinds of building juxtaposed with a identical background. So that's sort of the focus that I go. Why isn't my flight work? Oh wait. That's sort of what I go for these builds. And then sometimes I'm just like, I should have built something that fits the theme of what I'm doing. So I built this area for bees, just because I felt like it. And it still works because it looks like it fits in, because like there's obviously the industrial side, but this side's a little bit more on the like magic and the plant side. So yeah, it's very much about finding, like the hardest thing is finding the correct block palette, but you can get a lot of inspiration just by looking online. So now that I've showed you this space, I think this is pretty much everything. The plan I'm going to do now is I'm going to sort of like do a sort of build off camera, and I'm going to take you through and then like come back to you guys every now and again to show you the different steps in the process. And it might come out good, it might come out bad, but I'll show you sort of visualization of what my process is. I don't know why this is here. But yeah, I'll get started on that. Yeah, give me 2 seconds. All right, so this is something I've been spitballing. So basically, I'll grab it off my other monitor. So I'm using a few of these, once my Chrome decides to load, as my frames of reference. So something similar to this, something similar to this, something similar to this, sort of like using bits and bobs from all of these. I want to sort of have something like this, but also have something like, which one was it? It was this one right here. And then a little bit of this as well. So to have the more diagonal look of this one, and have the more buildings of this one, and then have like sort of small facilities on the islands like this one. So that's the sort of thing I'm going for right now. Now this is like, it took a while to build, but this isn't hard to plan out. Basically, I just started roughly somewhere in the like right-hand side of the middle, and I just made a diamond. That's something that's fairly easy to do. And I'm like, all right, I'll make a little gap and chuck another diamond next to it. And I'm like, okay, how can I fill up this gap? So I added this pathway between them here. I'm like, oh, I'll make another diamond in here. I'm like, all right, I want to make something over towards here. How do I connect it to that? Have this sort of thing where it's all like diagonal and they're all the same length on this side and that side, to sort of get like a good idea of what the base of the base is going to look like. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up all of this with, so I'm going to stack it up a little bit to be a little bit more akin to this image here. And I'm also going to submerge some bits. So some bits are going to be raised and some bits are going to be submerged. So I'll get started on that now and I'll show you my progress as it comes along. So now that's all been fleshed out a little bit, we sort of have a basic idea for a base. This is something I was working on but decided to scrap. But basically, yeah, we've got this like sticking out bit here. We've got these 2 indented bits over on this side, and we're accommodating the environment. So basically, because the seafloor is higher on this side, I chose to have this go up and then just flatten out here, whereas this one's going to be slightly lower and then flatten out down here. So it's basically accommodating the environment, sort of building around it a little bit. And so I sort of want to do a staggered look. So I'd like have a little bit, like this bit be flat, this bit come up a little bit, this bit come up a lot, and then these 2 bits go down. that adds a little bit of flavor to the base. And this is a really good like starting point. From here on out, it's like really up to you how you want to expand it. For example, let's pull up this again. So these are quite generic by this point. Pretty much you see them in a lot of builds, but something like this would fit like really well with these like sort of sticky outy diagonal bits. This center tower is fucking awesome, and I might steal that for another build. There's always like there's so many options. You could do something akin to this, like have some towers, or you could do like a city sort of look, or you can have like different buildings for different things. So for example, I need a building that's specifically for what's a good example? Like reactors or something. Like maybe reactors wouldn't be a good choice for this sort of area. Maybe like bees. So you could do like a big hexagonal thing here, or maybe a series of hexagons, and then like maybe build them up a bit, or like have them separated and like have like little thrusters coming underneath of each like building, so it looks like they're floating in the air. There's so many different options of what you could do to flesh out this sort of area. And that's sort of the idea I wanted to give from this video when it comes to building, is from here, this is the sort of thing that I would have as a baseline, and then as I'm accommodating certain mods, I build around it. So I would build, it's time for, like, I need to move my mechanism stuff in. Maybe I like keep the mechanism stuff in here because it's quite large and we can knock that further down. I need somewhere for my mystical agriculture. Here's a nice little open area that I could build that in. I need somewhere for, or actually even here, we've got like a 9x9. You could build that up. Here, maybe we could have like, what's a good example? What's a good nature-themed mod? ECM Star. That's looking in the wrong bar. I was thinking of something, but it's completely... you could even like make this a bit darker. Maybe like switch it up for some basalt or something, or some deep slate. Do some occultism stuff here. Or if you really wanted to, you could have like that hidden in like an underground base hidden underneath this, and save this for maybe more light and stuff. Like I believe Forbidden Arcanus stuff is quite light, or even Ars Nouveau, like an Ars Nouveau area sort of here. So that's facing up towards the sky a bit more, sort of thing. Or even just have these bits be for decoration, and then have the bulk of your manufacturing inside here, or one of these two. But it's basically about getting a general idea of a base, which I think this is a good starting point for a cool base. And then it's about figuring out what mods you want where, and where to integrate them. Like, for example, another thing you could do is we have this sort of circular bit here. We could sort of have like bits leading up, and then like maybe like a pillar coming out of the top, or like a beam coming out of the top, and have like the MB controller, have that be like the centerpiece of the base, where it's like this big neon flashing thing. Or if you don't like that, you could always hide that in here, and like maybe like have it on the roof, and then like have cables running down the sides. It really depends on what you want. So that's the sort of like process I have of building, is just wanting to get this like sort of plan built out of like the sort of area I want, and then building up, and then adding detail as necessary. So for example, I could choose to, these walls are a bit plain. I could choose to do something akin to, I'll use these for example, because I forget the name of these blocks. So we'll go white concrete panels. Something I really like to do is, I like to have like sort of sticking outing bits that are connected via like roofs or stairs. So we'll have something like this, for example, have that running down the side, and then maybe connecting at the bottom. So it's like sort of built out of there. And then, maybe I want some like windows. You could have like maybe 2 or 3 of these, and then like some staggered series of windows. Let's clear up the weather real quick. There's a lot of options, even if you wanted to like sort of have like offshoots. So for example, you could like bring a piece out like here, and then have something here, or maybe like even like an arm or something, like not an arm, like a tube coming out. That you have a bunch of stuff built in. So it's like this big ass tube sticking out of the wall that you keep all your thermal series machines in, if that's something that you like. And then maybe you could like give it a little bit of rotate, bring it down, and like have it go into here. So you could like sort of fly up through these machines and then come out in here. That's always an option. It's really just about taking a base framework and working it with it. When it comes to like more medieval stuff, what I usually like to do is a mix of stone and different types of stone and different types of wood. There's a lot of really good building tutorials on YouTube of how to do this a bit better, because medieval is something I'm not particularly amazing at. But I usually like to have a sort of like this, where it's like a mixture of stone and wood, and then maybe like, for example, knock those two out, have maybe something like that, because from the outside you're not going to be seeing this, And then from the inside, you could even do something like, maybe that's not a good example, but you get where I'm coming from, where it's like, have the outside, oh, actually, no, we'll just knock this out. So we'll knock this out, have the wood like that, and then you've got area, oh, actually, no, you know what? See, this is part of my process. I sort of like experiment till I figure things out. It's like, oh, this is a bit too boring. What if we went like this? Added some like sticking outing bits, like so, and then maybe join them together down the middle. Maybe have this as an entranceway, so you have like cobblestone running up the sides into there, and then you've got an entranceway. But it's like it sticks out too much. It's too over the top. Maybe you go trapdoors. Trapdoors are a fantastic option for adding depth. Like that sticks out too much in my opinion, it does. So maybe something akin to that, and then we'll knock that off, stick that on top, and we're adding sort of a cap to it. This is not obviously the best like example I can think of. This is sort of like I'm spitballing off the top of my head, but there's a lot. Fantasy something is not really something I'm very good at, so it's something I'd recommend watching a bit more like YouTubers who actually do fantasy stuff a lot. I can make it work, but it takes like several like hours of me like actively putting in like lots of trial and error and stuff like that. And I'll spare you those kind of details because it's a lot less like something I can teach, and it's more something that I just sort of picked up from playing for a long time. And even then, I'm not good at it. Like I'm not even claiming any of this is good, but I feel like this is a good starting point for a cool base. Maybe this is a bit too high, but at the end of the day, I'm happy with it, and that's sort of thing, the logic you want to follow when you're building is, if you're happy with it, like if you think it looks cool, then it's good. You like, if someone on fucking Reddit looks at it and goes, oh, you should do that, fucking shut up. Like, it's, as long as you're happy, it's your world, you should be able to like be happy with it. And I'm happy with this. I think this looks really cool. This is something I might take inspiration from for a base I'd build in the future. Maybe not, I don't know yet. But yeah, that's sort of like my more waffly type of video, showcasing like how I do progression in these mod packs, how I do building these mod packs. Apart from that though, there's really nothing else left for me to talk about. Thank you very much for watching today, and I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day. One last thing that I wanted to mention is, so this is completely unrelated to the contents of this video. I just wanted to, I'm going to build while I do it, because like it helps me like form my thoughts better. I actually don't know why I grabbed that. What do I want to build? What is something cool that I could build on top of this? Maybe like a I actually don't even know. I'll build a fucking reactor for the shits and gigs of it. Also, sorry if there's any noise in the background. That is my housemates. So yeah, I've seen so much fucking like, you see like all these YouTubers all the time. They're like, oh, thank you guys so much for your support. It means a lot to me. And I believe they're being genuine, but I always find that like, it's always like the same thing where it's like, oh, it means a lot to me. And that's not even the right fuel rod. Reactor fuel. What is it called? Fuel rod. Fuel assembly? There we go. So yeah, it's that sort of thing where it's like it's hard to like put like into words like how genuine you can be when you say that, because I believe most of them are being genuine, but you hear it so often and it's like, oh, that's what YouTuber number 293,468 has to say. But I want to explain why like the growth that I've been experiencing lately has meant so like fucking much to me. So I'm gonna pull up my YouTube studio and have a look at my stats, right? I've been trying to do this less, but like in the last month, so since I posted the AE2 video, this is only for the last month, so I posted the AE2 video about a month and a half ago, but that's 13,500 views, 884 watch time hours, 118 subscribers in the last month, in the last 28 days at least, which is like, this is like not something I've never experienced before. Like I've been making YouTube videos since I was 14, installing like dodgy certificates and dodgy APKs onto my, or not even APKs, however you used to do it, onto my like old iPad Air that I had in school to try and record things, and those videos suck. They aren't public anymore, and they will never be public again, because it's like peak like child making YouTube videos, and to an extent, I feel like there's some stigma with that coming even now, because it's like there's always that thing of like, oh, Minecraft Let's Plays or whatnot, and I feel like that's always going to be the case, but I feel like I'm separating myself a bit more by showing something a bit more technical than like the base, like, hey guys, welcome back to my Minecraft Let's... Like, I hate that shit. I hate the whole like over-the-top, fake, hyperactive, like TikTok fucking brain rot type of like commentary. I very much prefer like casual conversation, and occasionally I get carried away and I just waffle and I get excited about what I talk about, because I am excited about this shit and I really do like it. And I feel like it's something that I don't even know what I was going to say with that, but yeah, you get what I mean, where it's like I prefer to separate myself and be a little bit more adult with my content and have a more like adult tone and a more like, here's something for even like older people, like older teenagers. Like, I'm not looking for a like over the top fucking Let's Play style thing. I'm just looking for a guide or a progress of someone explaining something. That's one of the reasons I've been quite enjoying Threefold recently. His videos on like Great Tech New Horizons are fucking amazing, because, or partially because it's like, it's not like that, where it's not like that, like, you know, like I said before, that, hey guys, it's sort of more like, I'm going to take like a more mature approach to this, like actually fairly complex like experience, and I've been really enjoying it personally. Like, I find it very, very like entertaining to watch, and apparently a lot of other people do as well as me, because he's been seeing massive success, which is fucking deserved on his part, to be honest. But yeah, that's why it means like so much to me. It's like, I've been doing this shit for so long, and like when I was a fucking kid doing this shit, it was always like, I was like jealous of my mates, like they had more subs than me on their like children's YouTube channels, because they had like, well, partially because they were like better at making content than I was, and partially because they had access to better tools like computers and shit like that. I only had my fucking shitty iPad Air and iMovie. And it feels good to be like, instead of being then that kid going like, oh, sub for sub, sub for sub, it's like, I posted this video not expecting it to blow up. And I just posted it because it's like, people talk about AE2 all the time and like, oh, it's so complicated. And I just wanted to put my like take on it out there, and thought, oh, maybe like, if I'm lucky, 10 people might watch this. Like, that's genuinely what I thought when I like first published it. I'm like, this is only gonna get seen by 10 people, like tops. And it just shocked me. Like, I didn't even check my analytics, because I posted it not expecting it to be successful. I only went to check on it because I'm like, oh, this other video that I uploaded, like the one that for Dark Souls 3, that one, I want to see how that one's doing, because that one I was a bit more proud of. Because I didn't expect the AE2 one to do well, because I put effort into it, but it wasn't like a passion project. Well, actually, no, that's not even true. It is a passion. Like, modded Minecraft is something I'm passionate about to an extent. Like, it's sort of hard to put into words. I'll try and put it into words a bit like further on, but the point is like, I put more effort into the Dark Souls 3 video, and that one is not really done as well as I'd hoped. And looking back at it, there's a lot of room I could have improved on that. I feel like I sort of just like got lazy towards the end and sort of just tried to rush it out. And just like coming and seeing like this video of like something I was fairly passionate about just exploded popularity. It was like, holy shit, what is going on? And then like people, like, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, but there's not really much I can do with this. Like, I don't really know where to go from here. And then people were like, oh, can you talk about this, talk about this, talk about this? And I'm like, yeah, I know those things. I can talk about that. Like, I can give a dumb shit's guide to that. And that's my sort of thing, is like, I'm very much of the opinion that the best way to explain something is as if like you explain it to a toddler who's never touched the thing in their life, sort of thing, where it's like, I want to explain it in a way that someone who doesn't have the basic understanding of these things, like the core fundamentals, can still understand. Or it's like, they don't have to do like a whole bunch of research into like, oh, how do I make this work? It's sort of like, okay, here's the fundamental building blocks, and then you can expand on that with your own research if you want to. That's why I don't go too complex with my tutorials. It's like, it's dumb shits guides. It's dumb shits like me. So instead of being like me and spending hours and hours fucking researching, trying to figure out how a mod works, I'm condensing that knowledge in the simplest way I can into a video. And to be honest, like, I am passionate about it. Like, when I was a kid, like, playing on my shitty little HP Pavilion 15 gaming laptop, like 15, I don't even know I think it was 15. I'm not even sure. I played modern Minecraft, but it was more like, you know how people describe Skyrim modding, where it's like, you boot up Skyrim, you spend like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours straight modding, trying to like get the mods to work, trying to fix compatibilities, downloading mods, trying to build your own like mod pack, and then you finally boot into the game for the first time, play for 10 minutes and get bored and shut off the game and don't play it for a year. That was me when I was a fucking kid, because my laptop couldn't run complex mod packs. Like I tried to play Crazy Craft on it because all my favorite YouTubers were, and it ran like dog shit, man. And I'd make my own mod packs, but I didn't know how to use them. Like I'd watch people play these mod packs, but I wouldn't understand the information, and I didn't know about like quest books. And like at that time, my experience with games was Portal 2, and that's about it. Portal 2 and Minecraft were the only games Portal 1, Portal 2, and Minecraft were the only games I had on my computer at that time, because I was a fucking kid. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I didn't really have a fundamental understanding of how video games as a platform worked, and I didn't know about the quests or anything in these mod packs, and I didn't really have the time to even like get really into them, because I was limited by like screen time from my parents, because I was like fucking, when I was like getting into this shit, I was 13 years old, or actually 14 years old. So I like had limited access to like my laptop and shit like that. So a lot of it was just like, yeah, like they said that. That's sort of like I'd make my own mod pack, play for a little bit, cheat in the stuff that I actually knew how to use, and then use it to get the stuff I knew how to get, and then play for like, I still played it for a while. Like I still played a lot of time in these mod packs, but like nowhere near as much as I do nowadays. And I really enjoyed it, but I just could never like get into it because I just didn't have like that core fundamental understanding of like how these things worked and how they like how you're supposed to progress in them. And then I tried this pack, and I'm like I believe I told this story earlier. Actually, I did tell the story earlier, but you know the thing where it's like I had no experience with modern Minecraft in fucking 5 or 6 years, and I try out this mod pack, and I literally just get hooked. And like I've played close to 700-ish hours over the course of the last couple months, I think, somewhere along those lines. I think I have like 500-ish hours on my first world. I have around probably 300 on my second world. I think I have maybe close to 100 on my third world. I'm not entirely sure on that one. Maybe less. I feel like I've been doing progress relatively quickly on that one. But yeah, I've just been sunk into this mod pack, and seeing and I love problem solving. Like I've loved factory games for a long time. Like I played the shit out of Satisfactory for a while, and so I've always loved this shit. And it's like, oh, I finally like, it feels so good to be like, make the numbers go up. Like, oh, now I have like 20,000 iron. It's like, oh, that's fucking awesome. I only had like 10 earlier, and now it's like, oh, I have like 20 like million FE per tick. Oh, not per tick, but I'm exaggerating. I'm using hyperbole, but to make the point. But you know what I mean? Where it's like seeing those numbers go up, and like optimizing for efficiency is something that like activates a special primate part of my brain, and solving those issues also does. Where it's like I solve like an issue that's I've been struggling with, and it's just like it's the best feeling in the world, man. Like nothing else can top it. It's like I said before, it's the same with Dark Souls, where it's like I finally beat something that I've stuck on forever because I figured it out, and it's like, oh, I am a genius. And it's addictive. It's a gameplay loop that's addictive. And I've always played Minecraft, so it's like that feeling of like having a world I can interact with in a more tangible way. That's what like separates this like this game from like say something like Satisfactory or Factorio. Is like there's always a certain tangibility towards Minecraft that I've always really loved, where it's like I can take anything and put it basically anywhere else, and I can make just the most crazy things that look just fucking amazing. And it's that creativity to be like, to build shit like this. You can't build something like this in Satisfactory because it doesn't have the tools available, because it's like, there's something special about this being a voxel game where I can just manipulate any part of the environment. And that's why I really do enjoy like playing these mod packs. And I like just wanted to talk about it for a bit. This is very much a waffle video. This is like very much, I didn't come with this one with a plan. I sort of just like was looking through one of my old worlds, and I'm like, damn, I kind of want to show this to people, and I want to explain like my way of thinking about this shit. So I'm like, I'm just gonna turn on the camera or turn on the recording. I'm just gonna like go through and I'm gonna talk about things as they come into my head, and that's why it's so sort of disorganized, this video, because I'm just like sort of waffling on about whatever like I'm interested at a given moment, and I'm doing a lot of fucking over explaining just because it's like it's such like a fixation. Well, not a fixation, that's not the right word, but it's like it's just so like something I'm so like I enjoy so much and I'm so passionate about. And so sort of like I want to do another video on like Dark Souls for that reason. Is because it's like I fucking love Souls, man. Like I plan on doing like a video if you guys want to. If anyone stays this far, feel free to let me know. But I sort of want to like do a sort of unscripted sort of like while I play through DS3, like talk about that game and how much that like game has like impacted me and shit, and all the things I like about it, and like sort of dissect it to an extent. Obviously, I'm not going to be like, oh, here's Dark Souls 3 dissected, but like have that sort of thing where it's like talking about like as in depth as I can. And but sort of a more waffle style where it's not like, oh, I'm just gonna be like, I don't have the super like tight script and shit like that. Like I don't know, I'm continuing to waffle, so I'll wrap this up. But if you want to see like more videos like this that are more freeform or just like fucking waffling on about whatever, feel free to let me know. And I appreciate all the comments that keep rolling in, because I read every single one. And I will continue to read every single one. And there's a lot of them that have inspired like videos that I'm going to create. Like I was never going to create the follow-up 2 videos to AE2, but I got like comments on like both those videos. Like on the first video being like, how does P2P tunnels work? I'm like, okay, I'll explain that. Oh, how does like autocrafting work? I can't get my head around it. I'm like, I know how to do autocrafting. And so I've like made that video as well. I think that one should come out before this one. But yeah, that should be about it. Sorry for keeping you guys occupied for so long. I don't know what the next video is going to be. I'm trying my best to do more work on the current like survival playthrough, but it's with like work and shit, it's really hard to find the time. And also it's like you finish a long day at work, you're like, oh, I can finally start recording, and it's like I've been looking forward to this all day, and you like sit at your computer and just staring at you like I'm so exhausted, I'm starving, I have this splitting headache, I've had a long day, I'm just gonna go to bed. I've been doing that a lot lately, because like working full time is a bitch, especially when you're like in management and shit like that. But yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. This is actually the end of the video. Have a good rest of your day.